This video is powered by the pros at Pascal Air Plumbing and Electric. Arkansas owned, Arkansas operated. GoPascal.com.
What'd you think? We're going to get to the coordinator stuff. What'd you think about the game last night where Arkansas played better but still lost to Missouri?
Yeah, they played hard. They played with great intensity, and that gave them a chance to win. They really did well rebounding. That's effort. 21 turnovers, a lot of transition points that they gave up to Missouri, which is, that's not the recipe for what Eric Musselman wants in a winning team. I thought that they did everything pretty well except maybe the last minute. They didn't make a play. I mean, they tried hard, but they didn't. They did not make a play, and it seemed like calls went against them at the end. And I'm not saying they were bad calls. You can. That's up for everybody else to decide. But you're not going to get those calls on the road. All of them. And it seemed like they got calls early in the game and they didn't get them in the last minute. And but it also comes down to just making a play. Jump up and make a basket. And they missed a lot in the last few minutes when they had the lead that were just point blank. That I was just like, they got to make those.
It's your worst start since '91, since you joined the league in conference play. Now, it's been a brutal schedule. Muss has talked about the fact that you're the only team in this league that has 4 of their first 6 games being on the road. But, I mean, this is a big hole, Clay. You look at the rest of the schedule. Tommy laid it out earlier. You still got to go to Knoxville, to College Station, to Lexington, to Tuscaloosa. I mean, it's not like it's going to get any easier after kind of this easier stretch, basically.
Yeah, I tend not to look at where you have to go. Those are tough, every year, and that doesn't change. But they've only had 2 home games, and one of them is Alabama. And if you really look hard at the way Alabama's playing, you probably weren't going to win that game. So the other one was Missouri, and they fought back from a big deficit and won that game. I think that they're young. They're probably not going to, just kind of throw in the towel. They're going to play hard, just like they did last night. And maybe they steal one on the road, or they learn a little better as they go. And I don't think this is the best this team's going to play. I think they're going to get better, and because I think we know that Eric Musselman will coach his butt off. I mean, he's got good guys on his staff. I think Keith Smart, I've watched practice, excellent coach. So these guys are going to keep teaching, and so it's daunting. They're not going to win the league, but they're going to win some home games because they've got some teams coming here that they probably can beat at home.
Yeah. Now the conversation's legitimately on the table, will you make the tournament? And I'm looking at it from the lens of if you can get to 9-9, maybe you have a chance to make the tournament. So you got 12 games left, and the math's easy. You got to win 8 of those. I mean, when you just walk through them, beginning with Ole Miss on Saturday, and then LSU, then A&M, you got 3 in a row at home. You're going to have to go on the road and win at South Carolina. You're probably going to have to win at College Station. You got to beat Florida and Georgia at home, and you're probably going to have to beat Kentucky. You got 7 home games. Clay, I don't think you can lose another home game because when you look at where you're playing on the road.
Yeah, they didn't. They only lost 1 home game last year. That's kind of the range of. I mean, none of these teams can just walk into Bud Walton and say this is ours. Yeah. I mean, it will be tough for anybody to beat them at home the rest of the way. Yeah. All the teams that you mentioned coming in, and I've watched Tennessee of late, and they don't scare me. They played really well early, but it looks like they've played tight, and they're not making nearly the shots. They're kind of a lot like Arkansas that they're challenged offensively, and that's not a good recipe for going on the road, as we see for Arkansas. So they're a lot like that, and they just lost to a mediocre Kentucky team at home, so they don't scare me. And I think Arkansas will play them and will match up good against them. I'm not saying they sweep them, but I bet they beat them at home.
They just played Knoxville.
They just play the one.
Oh,
game.
they don't go there. Well,
they go.
see,
They
that's
do go
even
there.
better.
They don't come. No,
Yeah, I had
Tennessee
looked
doesn't
at.
come here.
I heard you go through the schedule in the last hour, and I didn't catch that part.
Yeah, I mean they play at Tennessee and at Bama. I'm just writing them off as losses. So
yeah, but I don't do that because it just like Kentucky went in there. Every game is just a season all by itself.
well, that way if you win,
That game last night was a long. I mean, it was like 2 seasons.
Yeah.
2 hours and 47 minutes.
Clay, what have you thought about Muss moving Devo to more of the primary ball handler, at least to get them in their action in their sets? He had 6 turnovers. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's and I thought about that as I was watching it. It's like, well, maybe Anthony Black is better, off the ball than on the ball, and it might be about the matchups too. It's like, okay, well, we got this matchup. We're gonna let you handle it here because of who's covering you. And if it was somebody different for Black, maybe it would have been different. I don't think that you've seen the last of the tinkering, and it's all going to change in another week or two when Nick Smith comes back, and I hear he's coming back. So it's what will he be like? After missing 6 weeks, I don't know. I mean, he's hadn't played at all hardly this year. Yeah. So, but he's a great talent, and he will help this team, especially in that role.
I hope you're right, and I hope he comes back in a few weeks. I just wonder how long he'll play once he comes back, because that's been what we've seen so far. Is he'll play, and then he's out again with the knee problem. So. Yeah,
what I've heard is that he will be recovered and he'll be able to play. And Tommy, if he wasn't, I don't think you'd see him at all. I mean, if this was going to be something that it'd be recurring, I think they just say, no, we just wait. He wants to play. He thinks playing will help him in his draft stock, and I think he will. And it'll help the team, and it'll give them a lift. And we're, what are we? We've got another 8 or 9 days, but I think it's going to work out.
We've seen him at points this season, and the teams look good with him, and then kind of out of sorts because they're trying to adjust their roles and whatnot. I wonder, Arkansas doesn't really have time to figure out that waiting period. They've kind of lost that being at that 1-5 hole. I mean, how quick can we expect when he comes back, if he does, for them to gel again? Because they just don't have even a game or two to figure this thing out. When he comes back, they got to be ready to go.
They got a ton of practice time in between games.
That's the other issue, Clay.
Yeah, it's an issue, but I'd rather go. You're looking at it from, and you usually do, the glass is half full. I look at the glass is half full. I think he's going to help the team.
Well, I mean, you're not going to get worse with Nick Smith.
No,
that's for sure. I mean,
and
there may be some hiccups, but I'll take the hiccups.
If he comes back, I'm not saying woe is me. It's going to take a while to get to chemistry. I'm going to say we got him, and he's going to help.
Yeah,
you need another player that can put the ball in the hole.
I don't want.
Now, I understand the question, but that there's a lot more good with him coming back than there is bad.
What you're saying is, hey,
there's those guards are going to get some rest. Devo and Anthony are playing a lot of minutes if they're not in foul trouble. And you will be able to sit them down if you add. Now, if he comes back the first game, maybe it's 20 minutes, and then it'll work up.
Yeah. Devo hit 3 threes for the first time in I think his career last night, but perimeter shooting has not been a strong suit. What did they finish at, Tommy? You got the
7 of 17.
7 of 7.
Okay. That's okay. That's 40%.
You'll take it. Last 2 games have actually been pretty solid in that area. You would hope Nick would add to that number.
Yeah. So what I've seen of late, which is different than say a month ago, is that they take really good threes, and they can make those better. Yeah, they're getting open looks,
corner looks too. Whipping it around that zone,
which is the
corner
closest
to
the.
And I think some teams have done a better job against Council, and he can do better than he has of late, he can help them with threes.
What about that dunk last night?
Yeah.
Which one? There's two.
Well, the one where he cocked it back.
Dave Neal was going to fall out of his chair when he did that. He had a good screen off from Mekhi Mitchell there. I mean, he still got the highlights. AB had one too. Oh.
Tommy, I know y'all have already talked about this, but it's just really painful to watch officiating right now. And I'm not saying they determine the games. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that the game has, and I know that the coaches are pushing them right to the edge and how they play. In other words, we think this is the way that play is supposed to call, so that's the way we're going to play it. And then maybe they don't quite do that, and it's a foul. And you can see both coaches really frustrated. But I think fans are frustrated with it too, Tommy. And it is hard to watch, and it is especially hard to watch when you see a replay and they can fix something, but the rules say they can't fix it.
I agree, and I think there were several plays last night that left you
a missed call that they can't fix it because that's not what they are reviewing.
I think fans get frustrated with the movement towards the lack of reducing physicality and the enforcement of that. I mean, the officials aren't writing the rules. The rules committee, comprised of coaches, has directed everyone to reduce physicality in the game, and that's what fans don't enjoy. They want Nolan's style of ball. They want 40 minutes of hell, but that's not the product they've wanted for the last 10 years on the floor as a body, as a group. And it's not the refs deciding that; it's the rules committee made up of coaches that have direct, and then every week during the season redirect and reinforce. This is how they want the game officiated.
But then when you see a play that is in the final minute and it's the determined play of the game, Devo comes in there, gets knocked off balance by a 240 guy with his, with a knee right to the thigh, and he stumbles a little bit, and the next guy is in the cup, and then he flops. Devo moved away from him, and then the guy flopped. And they review that. And they're not looking at either one of the fouls. They're only looking is his heel down or is his heel up?
And that
is poorly done.
Well, I mean, then the rule needs to change. I agree with you.
I know that, but that's what I'm saying. It's bad.
Was the heel on or above? Because I disagree with what they came out of there with.
No, I do too.
Because the rule says the foot on or above the line, and the angles we were presented
wasn't even
on TV,
close.
The angles we presented on TV seem conclusive to me.
Yeah, and he didn't want to change it, and I understand.
I mean, that's the rule says this. Follow the rule.
But there's three decisions involved in that play, and they got them all wrong. All three of them.
Here's the Arkansas side of it issue on that play. Devo comes in, and as you said, may have gotten bumped, but had his head down, looked out of control, creates the contact. But the rule says if the secondary defender has his feet on or above that arc, it's a block by rule.
Yep.
And when you go back and look at it, I mean, when you think about old school player control, he came in there out of control. That's pretty much what Devo looked like on that play.
But he stopped before he hit the guy.
He hit him with the top of his head.
Yeah, well, I know,
but
that guy's moving too. He obviously is moving his feet. So it's not a charge. He got fouled, and the guy's feet were in the cup. They're 0 for 3. And they had a review to fix it.
Remember, a legal defender can move. I mean, everybody thinks a defender has to be set. But
he's coming towards Devo. He's coming from the middle of the cup to the edge of the cup, and then he flopped.
You can, on the dribble, when the offensive player's on the dribble, the defender can move sideways, laterally, or backwards, but never forwards.
Yeah, but I thought it wasn't a charge, and they weren't. But they weren't reviewing whether it was a charge or not.
They were reviewing whether he was in the RA or not, and that's why we always have to remember, regardless of sport, the call on the field or the court is paramount in any of this. Yeah. What the call is in that moment matters more than probably anything else in any of these situations, football or basketball.
But if I'm an official, I'm gonna fix that play and get it right, and he didn't do it. So, and he's a good referee. I know that. I'm not crazy about the other two, but it was That was the big play in the game, and they were 0 for 3.
Who's the good one in your opinion?
Tony Green.
Yeah, I on last night's crew, I disagree with you. So I thought Owen Short was by far the strongest of those 3.
Yeah, but that's okay. And he had a chance to make that call too. They all had a chance to make it.
I don't think, but just watching what was on TV,
the foul of Kamani, the guy that called it, who was that? The guy on the baseline. He's looking right at Kamani's back. That's his line of vision, and he says his arms went forward and down. Now, I don't know how he can see that from behind.
Yeah, I want to talk about that. If I had a nickel for every time you said who created the contact or offensive initiated contact, I'd probably be a millionaire. How many times did Kobe Brown just just barrel into one of our guys and draw a foul last night? I mean, I saw it 5 times last night. And I get he's the elder statesman. He's the guy that's been around. He gets the benefit. But golly, I mean,
we saw the same thing in the Alabama game, right?
Yeah, we did.
Legal defenders were penalized when offensive players drove in. Who was on that game too?
Tony Green.
There you go.
So he should be reprimanded. It sounds like if that's the rule.
I think they should send him. I think they should send him to the Mountain West.
Now, say what I mean. I agree with everything.
That's like banishment.
But Tony
the
Green,
travel is just.
Tony Green's worked about 3 national championships, about 5
I know.
Final Fours,
That's what I'm saying.
That was in days gone by. So
yeah, I mean, but it's
let's not
like
pretend like he's not been there because he's worked.
It's hard to change. It's hard to change reputation. I mean, we can't. Ty's done better of late, and I've been trying to be nice to him, but reputation is hard to get past.
It's hard to overcome, man.
Yeah, it is. And so he's a Final Four ref. He's going to be a Final Four ref.
I don't know if he'll be another one, but
I get it.
But I'm just saying, you always have to ask yourself, because Ty will come in here complaining and griping about plays, and I what's the first question I ask? What did the defender do wrong?
That's what I'm saying.
What did the defender do wrong? Now you got to understand. You got to understand what a legal defender is.
Okay.
You got to know what the definition of a legal defender is. But
I'm going to say this:
the offensive player creates all the contact, guys. What did the defender do wrong?
That's what I'm asking about Kamani. What did he do wrong? He didn't do anything.
I'm agreeing with you.
Ty, this is what I want you to ask yourself every time.
Okay.
When Tommy says that, is hanging in the back of his SUV a really nice referee's shirt?
I just want everybody to understand.
Just ask it.
I mean,
when he starts telling you about the rules, so just trust your eyes. If you think it's a crappy call, it's a crappy call. I don't really want you to sit there and ask what did the defender do wrong.
I just want you guys to understand the process of what's being evaluated, because I'm with you guys. I mean, Ty, you've been with me all morning. I mean, Clay, you just jumped in. There's some things last night that
it wasn't very fun to watch.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. I mean, everybody says I defend no matter what. That's not true. I mean, I've been critical of a few things last night. But
I'm having fun, Tommy.
I get it, but always out there, ask yourself, what did the defender do wrong? And if you're in legal guarding position and you leave the floor in the same spot, you go up and you come down in the same spot, you're legal. And if the offensive player comes in there and they barrel in and they create all the contact, you can't penalize that legal defender. And that's what I thought we saw in the Alabama game too often. There was some of that last night going on as well.
33 fouls. There were some of them. Yeah.
Well, it was a physical game. That was a war physically out there last night. There was a lot of fouling going on. I thought they could have called 10 more, honestly.
Oh, we'd still be playing, Tommy.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Hey,
BetOnline remains your number one source for all your sports betting this season. Everything from the NFL and bowl season to esports. You'll find the latest odds, team matchup info, player news, and game trends at BetOnline. BetOnline features live betting, free contests, and live scores for almost any sport or game imaginable. We're the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite leagues and events. Head to betonline.ag to join and receive a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Make sure to use the promo code BELIEVE to receive your rewards. That's BLEAV. BetOnline, where the game starts.